it. So thank you for coming back and being patient with me, Jane. So I'm just going to go on and get straight to the
Okay.
questions before we get cut off.
Okay.
I mean, you've been in this industry, I believe you told me about 10 years now.
That's
Am
true.
I right?
Yes, 10 years.
10
10
years.
years
And
in
you
the
have come
Florida market.
in the Florida market.
Hmm.
Okay. How long have you been a real estate agent slash broker? How long have you been in the industry altogether?
I had my license in New York. Actually, I still have my license in New York. It's inactive. I had my license there for about 2 years. And then because I was an interior designer for 12 years. So
Hmm.
I figured to couple that up and do the right thing and make sure I capture the right buyers and the right sellers. I got my real estate license. And then I decided I wanted to take a break from that and exit from that because I had another opportunity, which I thought that opportunity was amazing. And I did not do any more real estate. So, cut through the chase,
Hmm.
I came to Florida in 2008, saw that the market had crashed like everywhere else around the country, and decided to go back into real estate. And I got my
Hmm.
license
Hmm.
here in 2010. So basically, I've
Okay.
had my license since 2010 here in Florida.
Awesome. Awesome. And you went in there like a whirlwind and you really, really took it over. What do you contribute to that? What do you contribute to the success of you in that Naples, Florida market?
Well, I contribute success, period, to just accomplishing whatever I set out to do. Just
Yeah.
staying true to the process. So that's with anything.
There.
When it comes to success, that's with anything. Staying true to the process, and deciding that's what you want to accomplish, and set out to do that.
Mm,
So that's what it's all about. It's not about real estate. It's about anything across the board. You stay true to the process. You stay true to yourself, and you know that that's where you want to go. You know your end goal. And as far as I'm concerned,
absolutely.
goals are nothing but, dreams with deadlines to me, or vice versa. Dreams are
A-
nothing but goals with deadlines. And if
Mm,
you decide that's what you want to do, then you stay committed. And that's how you achieve it.
absolutely.
So that's what
I
success
always tell
is.
my Yes, yes. I always tell my people right now, you have to be obsessed. You can't worry about, am I showing up too much? You have to be committed. You have to be obsessed
Yes.
with it and consistently
Mm,
obsessed with
absolutely.
showing up.
Absolutely.
And not worry about, am I showing up too much? No, you have to be, you have a mission to accomplish to meet your goals of success.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do you attribute, what else do you, well, let's see here. How do you describe success?
Um, how would I describe success? I would describe success with doing everything you want to do. And like I said, being committed. That's what success is, being committed to the goal. And once you
Hmm.
get, and success is everything. You can compile that to everything in your life. If you want to be successful, you have to get up in the morning with an attitude. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to knock this out. I'm going to move the goalpost again. This is what I'm going to do to get to that next level or to that next degree of wherever I want to go. And that's what success is.
Hmm.
Success is not about money. And a lot of people confuse success with material things. That's not success. Success comes with family, friends, uh, uh, things that you just want to do in life. It comes with everything in your life. And if you
Right.
if you point that arrow at everything that you want to do in life, that you want to accomplish, and you want to get there, and you do get there, that's success.
Absolutely.
Success doesn't equate to money. Money comes. And
Mm,
I always tell people,
hmm.
if it's about the money, you can forget about that. Because
Hmm.
the money
Hmm.
always comes. I've never ever worried about money.
Right,
Even
right.
when I didn't
And
have it,
so,
I just never worried about it.
yeah,
I just did the job.
right.
I did the business. And just a note, on that sidebar, I've never worked for anybody.
Hmm.
The only job I ever
Mm,
had was a flight attendant. So I never worked for anybody.
yes.
And to me, I didn't have a job then because I didn't have a boss in the sky. I just had a
Hmm.
badass time.
Hmm.
I just had a lot of good fun. So, you know, and it depends on, the risk you're willing to take to be successful. You have to go out there on a limb. It's not about being, all these cliche things, and no offense to you, it's not about being obsessed. It's about just going out there and doing the job, doing the deed.
Yes,
Get the shit done. Don't play around. If you say you're going to do something,
that's
you
right.
do it. Because now it's about your
You know,
word.
typically people have an issue they come up with excuses, they come up with reasons why they can't
Yeah.
do anything. And I use the word obsessed because I think it's a shift that I have to like. Some I look at it as sometimes people need a gut punch. Like, okay, you don't understand what that means. Like in the verbiage that you use,
Mm-hmm.
you have to want it. You have to these things. Some of us can hear that and get it, and a lot of us just don't get it. They have to hear it another kind of way.
Right.
And they still walk in it timidly. Well, okay, I'm going to put a little bit out there. I'm going to put myself out there a little bit, but I don't want to, not too much. I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want anybody to look at me, or I don't want anybody to say, these things negative. That's why I said, forget the noise around you and be obsessed and force what the lifestyle that you want, that lifestyle of success that you want, however, whatever that is for you.
Well,
And so it's just to create that shift because everybody doesn't just catch,
you know
you
what?
know,
The problem is what you said. Everybody's worrying about what everybody says and the noise around you. The only person you have to worry about is the person that you see in the mirror. If you
mm-hmm,
can't take that person for its word and who they are, then game over.
yeah,
Everything else is BS. Everything else is bullshit. I'm sorry, I swear a lot. Everything else is bullshit.
me
And if
too.
you, yeah, okay, my French is a little worse than yours probably. Um, but what I find is that people don't believe in themselves enough. You got to believe that you can do this. You can't go around, oh, well, you think I could do this? Oh, well, I had to ask this person. I had to ask person. I don't ask nobody nothing. I get up in the
Right.
morning. I say, you know what, Jane, this is what you have to do. Get out. And when I wake up, thank you, God, I open my eyes again. I just say, you know what? Get up. Get your butt up. I don't care what, if it's 4 a.m. and I'm awake, get up. There's no need to lay there and try to fall back to sleep because it's 4 a.m. I'm not 4 a.m. and I'm not supposed to be up at 4 a.m. That's the most peaceful time of the day, of the morning, when nobody else is around.
Mm-hmm,
Because guess what?
mm-hmm.
That's when you get in tune to who you are. That's when you become, superwoman, so to speak,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
you are with one. So when you look in
yes.
that mirror in the morning, that's when it's time to say, you know what? I'm coming for you. And the only person you're talking to is yourself. If you got to talk to
Mm-hmm,
anybody
mm-hmm.
else and tell them that, that's, that's a problem. You got to be
It's not
committed
worth
to
it.
you. And the mind shift, the real T on the mind shift, is shifting the mindset to you, about you. It has to be
Yeah.
about you, and it has to be about your word, your integrity, your commitment. And if you
Mm-hmm,
can't
mm-hmm.
handle those things and you go around telling people that you can do something you can't do, or you're going to be committed to something you know you can't commit to, then that's your ass. That's what it's really
Mm-hmm,
about.
mm-hmm,
You have to know that you
mm-hmm.
have to stay committed to you and what you say you're going to do for others. And with that being said, it's about service. And if you're out here to serve, that's where your success comes in. And that's
Right.
where people get it twisted. The more you serve, it's like the more you give, the more you get.
Mm-hmm,
The more
mm-hmm.
you give to people and you service, that's where the success comes. And that's why you don't
Mm,
have to worry about money and all that. Because you're out there
mm.
and people see you and people know you and people know that you're good and people know that you stand by your word. All that other shit, no, that don't work. And
That's right.
people see me and they see me, oh, she's confident, she's this. But what they don't see is when I'm alone, when I'm in my solace,
Mm-hmm,
when I'm talking to my
mm-hmm,
God
mm-hmm.
and I'm asking him to keep me going, to help me. That's the only person I answer to.
Right, right.
And when he gives me the right
Absolutely.
answers, I go out there and I kick some real ass.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's what's real.
yeah. That 4 o'clock hour for you, 2 or 3 o'clock is usually when he comes into me and wakes me up and like, okay,
It's
T,
time to get up.
here's the vision I have for
Right,
you. Let's
right.
go. Let's go. And I love what you just said about the service that you give, because that is one of the reasons I had you here, is because I believe that as real estate professionals and people spending upwards of $300,000 and up, it's like limitless of what a person can spend on what they desire as a home or their
Mm-hmm.
dream place. You spending that kind of money, or you're going to put yourself on the hook for that kind of money. You want an
Oh,
experience. And and on the lowest level, I like an experience. When I go to a hotel, I like an experience. When
absolutely.
I'm home, I want my home to be an experience like a hotel. I don't go to a hotel to for hotel service. I want it the same at home as I do with a hotel. That's a whole nother thing. But the service that you give is an experience,
Mm-hmm.
and you definitely want to provide people an experience that you would want to have. And that, when I watched just your video, 17,995, and you all, I was like, I want it, I'll take it.
I wanted it
It
too.
is because because I said to myself, I mean, it's just like, you want somebody to make you, you want, I don't even know the words to use,
But you know what,
but
Tanisha?
maybe you can elaborate on the service that you give and why you give it the way you give it, and and what that means to you for your clients.
Well, when you talk about service, that's everything. That's, like I said, being committed to the process of what you're selling also. And us as realtors, we have gotten away with this luxury word. We don't threw that word all over the place. And what people
Mm-hmm.
forget, luxury is not how expensive it is. Luxury is the way it's handled by you.
That
You
part,
know, and
yes.
and
Yes,
luxury could be $200,000. Guess what? Luxury, it's not the
absolutely.
price, because luxury. When you think about luxury, you can't say, "Oh, I'm in the luxury market," and you're showing, what looks like a bomb hit it, and you're selling it. That's not, no, no. It's not about the price. It's about what is representative of you as a realtor, you know. And
Mm-hmm,
I used to
mm-hmm,
tell people
mm-hmm.
when I worked for Sotheby's, people used to say, "Oh, I don't know if I want to use Sotheby's because Sotheby's always sell expensive properties." And I said, "Well, no. If that property sits in my portfolio for me to sell, it's a representation of me as a realtor. I
Mm-hmm,
don't I
mm-hmm,
don't call
mm-hmm.
myself a luxury realtor. I call myself a realtor with expertise on her market.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if I know, as long as I know what I'm talking about, I'm good.
Yes.
Because when I walk in that door, that I might not take on that property because it's not a representation of what I sell, even if it's
Mm-hmm.
$1 million. So don't get that twisted. So it's not about the number. It's about if that
Yes.
property is a representation of my brand, which I created. And I stand
Absolutely.
behind my brand
Absolutely.
100%. And I sell properties that are 100 and I started out selling properties 135,000 all the way
Mm-hmm.
up to 20 million and now beyond
Yes.
that. However,
Yes.
when I walk into a property, if that property looks good enough for me to put in my portfolio to sell, I'm good. If it doesn't,
Yes.
I won't take it. And I usually tell people there are three things that can happen today. I could either represent this property, you might not want me to represent this property, or I might not decide to represent the property. And they get
Mm-hmm.
shocked. And the first thing they'll ask is why? Because we might not come to an agreement of how this property can be presented on the market with price, position, and the way it looks. And
Mm-hmm.
if none of
Mm-hmm.
those things work for you and all of those things work for me, then we have a conflict of interest already. And
Right.
I'm not desperate. And I know a lot of agents, when they're first starting out, they want to take property, this, that. And I get it. Trust me, I get it. But when you get to a
Mm-hmm.
certain level in your career and your brand is on the line, you have to be very careful of that because you don't negotiate that
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever. So,
And and my feeling about it, and one of the points that I want to get across
mm,
is, there are certain things that we can control when we're starting out in business
mm-hmm,
and as we're growing our business and our brand, that you have control over. Some things you don't have control over.
right.
But the things you do have control over, is one's perception of your value, one's
Mm-hmm.
perception of your quality,
Mm-hmm.
and one's perception of what you're willing to take on or not. I always tell people, I train people how to treat me.
Oh, you have to.
There may be in a day, there have been the days where I had $5 in my pocket, maybe in my bank account, but I trained people even at that level of how to treat me,
Mm-hmm.
because I showed up and I was very intentional about, just like you're intentional about what you wear and what you don't wear. I was very intentional about what I surrounded myself around, how I built my brand, what I would accept as something that would represent my brand, like, will I accept this listing or not?
Mm-hmm.
Like you just said, is how is this down the line when somebody Googles my name and they look at what kind of houses has Tanisha listed, and they see something that looks like it is leaning over and on stilts.
Right.
That's not good. That's not a good look. And if you find yourself in a position where you have to take something on like that, you got to be very creative about how you're
Oh,
going to position that
absolutely.
and sell it. You got to be real slick with it.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to not realize impressions about you last
Oh,
forever.
absolutely. And one thing you just said here, let me just note that is you said you have to train people on how to treat you. But, the flip side of that coin is you have to be trained on how to deal with those people too. Because not everybody is the same, cut from the same cloth. It's like we had the conversation last week, you and I said, agents always say to me, how do I break into the luxury market, Jane? How can I get in? Well, you grow in. You don't break in.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just break in anything.
Mm-hmm.
Either somebody's going to
Mm-hmm.
put you on, but you still have to perform. So that comes along with
Yes.
growth, experience, you know, knowledge. You have to even have some knowledge of the world at least. How are you going to have a conversation with these people if you know nothing? So
Right.
you have to be trained on how to deal with the level of people you want to be with. Even though they're people, they still
Mm-hmm.
have their
Mm-hmm.
little, thing going on. So if you can't
Yeah.
hang with that, trust me, the person behind you is coming strong and they've done their homework.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
you must do
And done
that.
their homework, and have done their homework on who they're
Oh,
targeting.
absolutely.
And that's what's important before you roll your brand out there, before you start taking pictures and dropping things everywhere. You have to have a vision of what your end result is that you want, and you have to start from the ground floor with that, embodying that whole thing from the ground floor as best you can. I mean, you
Right.
you get better with time.
Right.
um, you get better with time. But I was about to say something and I completely lost my train of thought. But that's why I have you here, because I really want them to understand, um, knowing who you, that's what I was going with it, knowing your avatar, knowing who your target client is, and researching that client, understanding where they live, where they hang out, what they read, their pain points,
Absolutely.
what the pain points of somebody
And can
that's
you solve them?
um and can,
Can
yes,
you bring
and
the
then you
medicine?
start to build, how then you build, like, how do I solve these problems, how do I meet them where they are, how do I speak to them.
Exactly. You asked me a question, or you sent me one of the questions, and it was, about brand, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to let, realtors and young realtors, aspiring realtors, novice, whatever, your brand, just because you find something fancy that looks good and you stick it up there and it's your brand, but you don't live there, how can you sell your brand? Your brand has to be about you, who you are, where you came from, what you're about, and it has to live with people. Your brand has to tell the story. It has to convey a story to your people, and
Human
and
interest.
sometimes it changes, you know.
Oh
You
yeah.
don't have just because you come out with one, logo or you're saying it changes as you grow,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about brand must definitely convey who you are, your responsibility to it. I mean, it has to,
Your
your
values.
customer has to, when they look at that brand, it's something about it that attracts them, and it's not about the
Mm-hmm.
design. What is the story behind the brand?
That's
And then
right.
when they meet you, you better stand out, because that's who
Yes.
you say you are.
Yes.
You know.
Stand out and stand up to your value
Mm-hmm.
or whatever your mission
It
is,
has
your
to
mission
convey the
statement
story.
is, or
Has to convey the
it has
story.
to, yeah, it all, it's a, and that's why I say it's a lifestyle. You have to align. I teach in my, coachings with my clients. You have realtors from that are, I use this as an example a lot, that are mom realtors that have like little kids. That's not an agent that I would probably buy from because that's not my lifestyle.
Right.
And a lot of mom agents have to sometimes bring their children with them. They have their kids a lot. They're at mommy day. What is it called? Play dates
Right.
and all these different things that embody what things that a mom would do of maybe toddlers or young
And that's
children.
okay if she's
Well,
targeting that. That's fine. And sometimes you can break out of that, because again, back. Let's go back. Let's digress here about brand again. Brand has to bring
okay.
on awareness. It has to bring on integrity. I mean, it has to
Hmm.
bring on. It gives you exposure. People
Hmm.
trust brands. When you're going
Yes.
to Louis Vuitton, big brand,
Hmm.
you can
Hmm.
spot that brand 10 miles away. And Lord knows they'll
Yes.
do anything to get the bag. Okay.
Yes.
But those type of brands, you're going to get what you're paying for. So that's the
Hmm. Hmm.
same mindset you have to come into with your own brand. It brings on
Yes.
integrity, responsibility, awareness. It gives you exposure. So if you ruin that, that's your reputation along with your brand.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So you have to understand that's what you're bringing to the market. That's who you say you are. That's your
Hmm.
authenticity. So
Yeah.
if you don't stay
Being
committed,
very intentional with it.
if you don't
Hmm.
stay committed to who you say you are, people are very aware of that. They will peel that back so far and see through you, and they won't use
Hmm.
you. And once they say, with the internet, my God,
Right.
you
Right.
can forget.
That's why I say build your brand around your lifestyle. Don't try to build something that is not you.
Right.
And that's why I
You
use
become an
that's why I use the
imposter.
mom. Right. That's why I use the mompreneur, the mom agent. If that's your lifestyle, you better, that's your target you need to sell to.
Right.
Moms with children, and build your brand around that. And because now you're speaking to it, you're aligned and you're walking a lifestyle that embodies a realtor mom or an
Right.
entrepreneur mom, a mompreneur. And then you can grow from that. Your children get older or
Mm,
whatever your situation is, wherever
right.
you are. But just understand your lifestyle as you start to determine who your target avatar is, and you start to build your brand around who you're going to speak to specifically and be intentional about it. So
Absolutely.
make it easy for yourself. Then when you start to build content and start to try to attract that clientele, the conversation is a lot simpler because you don't have to dig from places that you are not, that's not you.
And they have to understand that at every level, the conversation changes. The
Yes,
buyer that's
absolutely.
buying the $300,000 house is not the same conversation as the buyer that's buying the $800,000 house, or the $800,000 buyer is. You're not going to have the same conversation with the $5 million buyer. Trust me.
You know what? Could you expound on that just a little bit? Because I swear today, I was trying to think of a way to convey this message about low to moderate income versus upper middle class versus luxury, to separate them, not to be offensive to anybody, but the progression through the levels of the type of clients that are out there. How do you
Because
how do you
financially,
how do you speak to that?
in America, first of all, and that's why I said a lot of agents and even myself at one time, we get things twisted. You know,
Hmm.
I remember it was a time, and God, I think about that all the time, when someone came to me and I had moved up to the $1 million mark, and someone was like, you want to sell this for me X amount of dollars, 200, 300, and I was like, Jesus Christ, now I'm gonna gotta go back. And I'm thinking, what is wrong with you? You didn't
Hmm.
grow up in $100 and something thousand house. And I had to stop and
Hmm.
think and say, Jane, 100, 200, 300, $400,000 in America is a lot of money. And just because I'm dealing with $1 million customers, I can't shit on the ones that's fed me, that built me to where I am. So I have to take them. And trust me, you have agents out here that will tear you down if you have lower level listings on your your MLS with your big listings, or you might not have any multi-million-dollar listings at some point because they go up and down. It depends on the work. You get what you put in is what you get out of it. And I used to think a lot about how I act at one time in my life when it came to taking on smaller listings. And then I realized, as I grew as a realtor, I realized those lower listings are what keeps the pipeline filled.
Yes.
And I have customers that I've sold $200,000 properties to that turned me on to $4 million customers. And then I have customers that come back to me when I'm selling lots of $1 million properties that need me to sell their grandmother's house or their aunt's house, and it might be 200 or it might be 100 and something thousand. I don't turn any of it down. I go in and I try and turn it out the best way I can and stage it the right way I can. And I usually sell those. Those are like hotcakes. You sell them really quick. And what you have to understand is any price point can be sold if it's priced well, if it's staged right, and the photography is good. And when I say the conversation changes, it's because it's what's in the house. It's the quality of appliances. It's the quality of the work. It's the quality of, the builder or the architect. So when it comes to certain homes, it's like you have homes that have been built by stock, one family. You have homes that have been built by GL. You have homes that have been built by Lennar. And these are all developers. And me as a realtor, I know the level and the quality of each home. So when I'm walking in a home that has been built by whomever, and the home is $300,000, I know what to expect in there. I know the conversation that I'm going to have. When I walk into a home that I'm selling to someone, or I'm the buyer's rep and I'm looking for a home that's $4 million, and I walk into the home and the appliances are appliances that belong in another level, I'm like, well, wait a minute here. And then you have the customer who's asking you several questions. So if you don't know the answers to those questions, that's when I'm talking about the conversation changes. If you're an agent you're used to selling $200,000 and $300,000 homes, and all of a sudden you jumped up and you just got lucky, and you're selling a home, you happen to get this buyer, and you're selling a home for $1.5 million or $2 million, and they're asking you questions and you can't answer them. That's a problem.
Do your homework. Do your homework.
Do your
know
homework.
Your stuff on every level.
They have magazines out there. I mean, you can look. I mean, I had to tell one.
Say it again.
I had to tell one developer. I said to them, they said, well, we're going to put KitchenAid in this house. I said, oh, wait, hold up. I said, this is a $1.5 million house. Nothing less than Bosch can go in here. I said, you can't put KitchenAid in here. GE? That doesn't belong in this house. I said, you have to go Bosch, Gaggenau, Viking, and outside at least Quickfire. And these are the things you should know, because that's a conversation you're going to have. And you don't know if you're being played or if they're asking you questions to find out if you know. And don't get the analytical client, because they know more than you do.
Ain't that the truth? Yes.
And the only thing they might not know is the location of the lifestyle around where they want to live, because these buyers today are very savvy. And that's why I said the conversation changes at every level, because you have a few different types of personalities that you're dealing with. But the analytical is the toughest one, because that's when you need to know your shit. So that's why you have to know that these conversation changes at every level. And even if it's a $200,000 house and you run up against an analytical client, that's a whole nother ball game for you, because they're asking you all kinds of questions. Property sold, market. How many properties are on the market like this? How many properties have sold in the last 30 days like this? How many properties have sold in this community that you're showing me? And what did the one two doors
Mm-hmm.
down sell for? But you're taking them to that community. So you
Yeah.
need to know your shit or get out of the
Yes.
market.
And Sonia Simeon asked the question here. Sonia, she's pretty much answering your question, but I'm going to go on and put it out there. Sonia just asks, how do you handle objections from potential clients?
On
And
which side?
yeah, she asked for which side.
Because there's two sides to each, sell and list,
Hmm. And I'm gonna and just to keep the conversation where Jane is right now, I'm gonna take it that to handle those objections from potential clients is what she's saying. Study your
market.
listing or study your market. Study those things that you will stay embedded in you. So every time a question comes, you're Johnny on the spot with a response because you've already. And she said seller, Jane. She said seller, but you'll have that information already embedded because you've been doing your research and studying your market. But Jane, if you wanted to go ahead and answer her, give her a tidbit of how to handle objections from sellers, that would be great. She froze up a little bit, but she'll be right back. It is coming. Thank you for joining us, Sonia. By the way, I told her yesterday that you were excited. You were looking for the video. And so here she is. Okay, we lost her. We got to get her back here in just a second. And again, here we go, Jane. I'm coming for you. So we just had a little internet connection debacle right now. So Jane is here with us, and I just want to man, she's dropping some gems, you guys, and I just really hope that this is it's gonna give you something to just hey, and some answers that will help you increase your business. Well, you can catch the replay anytime. Definitely hashtag if you're watching the replay on this. And if hopefully I can get Jane back in. And if not, I just think that she's provided us some awesome insight that will definitely help build on your brand. It's about going deep right now. You can a brand is more than just a logo. Um, it's more than just a logo and a picture. The brand is about going deeper and adding value to your overall brand. We talked about the other day in being able to sell your book of business at the end of your career, and you want to be able to get the highest price for your book of business, and it's all about how you're building your brand. Okay. Jane, so it looks like Facebook is not allowing us to be great. And so I'm just going to, because it says that you've been invited and everything. So I don't know what it's doing right now. But I just want to just thank you. I mean, I've taken up a lot of your time, and and I just appreciate you coming in to share your expertise with us. I know you have a busy day, and you allotted us about 30 minutes to get this done. And so I just think that was some great insight. I can tell you this: if you have more questions for Jane, please drop them in the comments. Jane will be more than happy to answer questions. And you never know, we may just be able to have her back. But please check out the Bond group, Jane Bond. Follow her. Follow her. She spoke to me a few days ago about Uh-oh, here we go. I think we might have her back. She's Jane about understanding how to speak. She just mentioned it, how to speak to your desired client, knowing and understanding the research. Thank you so much for coming. You are so amazingly patient, and I just owe you big time for
I'm
being
figuring
patient.
this out.
Well, hopefully you think it's fun, and we're gonna master this thing because you never know with where this
Okay.
listen, this is the wave that we're in, and we have to kind of shift to it a little bit, whether we want to or not, or else, we won't. We will be irrelevant, and that's the truth of the matter, and that's why I'm pushing through it. Why I'm pushing through
You
it.
know, I want to answer one of your questions that you sent me, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it's very important for people to know
Okay.
before I go because it is getting a little late for me. You asked me what was the difference between a mentor and a coach, and I think it's important for people to know that because I get a lot of people saying, Jane, I would love for you to be my mentor. I don't have a mentor, and I think they're confusing that somewhat. I'm only one person, and I kind of pick and choose the people I want to mentor, and it's when I see something in them that I saw in myself. And you can't mentor but so many people at one time and work,
Right. Right.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still working, guys. I'm still working. Don't ever get that twisted. That's all I know how to do. So the difference between a mentor and a mentor is someone that will stay with you on a long-term basis. A mentor is someone that will shepherd you through your career and make sure you're making the right decisions by getting good advice from them because they came before you in the same thing that you're doing or in anything that you're doing. It's what we call worldly and experience from someone that has been there, and that's the advice and the and the encouragement that a mentor gives you, and that's on a long-term basis. Whereas though a coach, you're usually dealing with someone that's giving you not much of their time, and it's usually more structured and formal, and also you're usually paying for it. I haven't had one coach that I didn't pay for, and I'm still in coaching.
Me neither.
I'm still,
I.
even at this level, I'm still getting coached.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is that the reason for that is everyone needs a coach. Everyone. And if you look at the biggest people in the world, Tony Robbins, he's being coached. Oprah, my gosh, she has 4 damn coaches.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so you need a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, you have to pay for it.
You do.
These
Mm-hmm.
people, this is their business. So you can't get that twisted either. If you want to get a mentor, you get someone that you trust, someone that you have watched in your life, and that you believe they're going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what mentors do. They shepherd you through everything,
Mm-hmm.
and they're with you on a long-term basis. And not only have you watched them, if they think you're any good and you're worth mentoring, they have watched you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So trust me on that one.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's the difference between a mentor and a coach.
And I was.
And these coaches,
Mm-hmm.
they want to be paid for their business.
Absolutely. I was just
So,
saying to them about what you mentioned just a few minutes ago
mm,
about speaking to your market, speaking and being knowledgeable and having the expertise in speaking
be
to
an
your market.
expert in your
Right.
market. Yeah.
The coaching program, the one-on-one coaching program that you do, is that part of what you offer in that program? You want to mention that a little bit? Tell us how.
I do I do offer one-on-one coaching,
Mm-hmm.
and I am a mentor to a couple people.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I have. I mean, the mentoring thing is it's you're giving your all to that person
Mm-hmm.
because you believe that person can do what they say they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to help them. You're going to give them 150% of you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's what mentoring is about.
Mm-hmm.
My coaching, I look for people that want it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've had people that tell me they want it. They really don't want it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They really don't want it. Not as much as they say they do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being summoned that I have to go.
Okay. Yeah,
So I'm
absolutely.
going to say it's about that time. And I'm so sorry. If I could give you more, I would.
No, you
And
were amazing. You were amazing. I really, really appreciate your time. And, more so than anything, and as you leave, I wanted them to get a glimpse of who you are, because
mhm,
I can show, people that are following me or people that I'm coaching, agents that I'm coaching that look at her pictures or look at her video. But if they don't see that that is something that they can aspire to embody,
mhm,
from the $100,000 mark up to the $18 million mark, they won't try. And so by having you here to let them see that you are just like me, and you're just like them, you are a human being, and that you have the same challenges. That's what this video was really about for me, that they can
absolutely,
understand that it doesn't take much to create the brand that is necessary to attract the business that you want. And so I really
absolutely.
appreciate you for everything that you've done with me over the last week. And hey, watch out for me. Hopefully, I'll be one of those people you want to mentor. I'm not an agent, but I think I'm a bomb coach. So, and we want to
all
just
right, girl. And you
turn.
better speak.
What did you say?
You better speak. I said you better speak that. All I have to say, to people out there and agents out there is believe in yourself
Hmm.
and run with that.
Yes.
Because if you believe in yourself, you got a huge head start. Don't get out your own way,
Hmm.
but don't get in anybody else's way. You got to give them an opportunity to run too. It's just who's going to run faster and who's going to stay committed the most.
Mm.
And stay with humility.
Mm. Yes. Yes.
And the last word is
Yes.
don't forget the service. Don't forget the service.
Yes.
That's important.
Yes.
And I gotta go.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Love you
I love
guys.
you so much. Have an
Thank
amazing
you.
day.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
Tanisha. Bye bye.